G'day and welcome to CAMPR. Our Simpson desert adventure is about to begin. We've travelled from Brisbane across the Plenty Highway down through the Red Centre to the very edge of the Simpson desert, to an oasis of sorts that you can't possibly imagine could exist out here unless you saw it with your own eyes. This is Dalhousie Springs. Dalhousie Springs is such an anomaly when you consider the environment around here. The Great Artesian Basin is the lifeblood of the outback, and it's here that water from the basin naturally rises to the surface.
So in the winter time, there's no better spot to stop in the desert than Dalhousie Springs. 34 to 38 degrees centigrade is the water temperature in here. It's like a bath, kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. And this water rises up from the Great Artesian Bore and takes 3 million years to get here. So the water that's sitting here on the surface is even older than Dean. Can you believe that?
In your national park, you'll take your rubbish with you.
One thing that I've learned to do pretty quickly on this trip is to pack all of my gear up first and then wash up last before we take off, rather than just getting dirty again. So a swim in the spring is the very last thing that we do before heading east into the Simpson proper. The biggest part of this adventure is about to begin. And here we go. We'll plan to head east along the French line till we hit the Coulson track, where we'll turn left and head north between the dunes. Then we'll traverse the famous Madigan line before turning south again down the Hay River Road.
Well, Dalhousie Springs is about 20 metres behind us in the rearview mirror, and we've left that rocky country for this sandy country and just crossed our first dune. By my calculations, that means we've got about 1,169 to go till we get to Birdsville.
The desert is an incredibly harsh environment. So harsh that many of these tracks are closed to the public during summertime because of extreme heat. If you were to run into trouble out here, not only would you not last long, but it'd take many hours, maybe even days, for help to arrive. Water is incredibly scarce out here, so when you get the opportunity to see some, it's definitely worth stopping. About 70 kilometres along the French line is Perny Bore, apparently a mistake by the French who were drilling for oil, not water. The water draws in birdlife and other animals from all around, and it's also a great camping spot for travellers along the French line, and for us, a perfect spot for smoko. Back in the driver's seat and starting to learn plenty about the French line, and driving over dunes, like that perhaps I should have tied down my load.
We're going to intersect the Coulson track in about 15 k's, and we're going to head due north along the Coulson track and meet up with
Gary, come and have a look.
You're supposed to open them at the top.
Yeah.
Open them at the top.
So we're at the intersection of the French line and the Coulson track. We're going to head north now, but we've had to pull up because there's been a bit of carnage, mate.
Amateurs, absolute amateurs. They don't know how to pack. If you pack everything in, jam it in, tight, milk crate it, jam water bottles in between things, nothing breaks.
You're not going to end up in a sticky situation.
Well, there's beer and coke and gas and all sorts of mess back there.
good idea, obviously, if you're going to carry extra fuel, is to get the fuel into the tank as early as you can. So we've only done a quarter of a tank, but I'm going to top it right up now, and that way I'm carrying less weight up top and less chance of spillage in the car as well.
The Coulson track is so named for Ted Coulson, the first European to cross the Simpson back in 1936. It runs north between the sand dunes and will eventually intersect with the Madigan line, which will take us east across the Simpson. This area that we're heading to is extremely remote, and so to bump into some other travellers is highly unusual. The gist of the conversation with them was that they'd attempted to go west on the Madigan and had been stopped in their tracks by giant dunes. They were heading for Mount Dare, the way from which we had come, which meant they still had a day and a half's drive ahead of them.
All right, mate. Nice to meet you, eh?
Yeah,
Safe
driving.
Safe travels, eh?
As the day draws to an end, it's time to find a good spot to camp, roll out the swag, get a fire going, and get set for our first real night of camping in the desert.
Meals for 13 and 17. Ready at the main bar.
This was what we'd travelled all this way for. Good company, a great meal, camp chairs around the fire. The perfect way to end a ripper day. If you can see yourself in this picture, head for your local ARB store to get yourself and your 4B desert ready. From dual battery systems to storage, suspension and fuel management, the crew from ARB can handle all your questions. And on the next episode of Camper, we hit the Madigan line. See you then.